Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is your girl, Miss N Local, coming to you straight out of NYC on this lovely Tuesday afternoon. I just want to sit back and just talk to everybody real quick that's going to be listening to this this audio clip, because I got a lot of stuff to talk about, particularly with this Meatsuit movement. So I'm going to come back in a minute with my thoughts on it. Just stay tuned. Be right back. Hey, what's going on? This is Miss Lena Little Cool coming back to you. And I just got a lot to say about the recent developments with all these actors that have now been accused of sexual misconduct that goes back to as far as 15 years, 20 years, heck, some of it even like 35, 36 years. And I'm going to start off with saying this. The Me Too movement was started not in Hollywood. It got co-opted by Hollywood. Me Too was started by a woman by the name of Tarana Burke. And she was a social activist who saw that young girls in her community were being berated sexually. Some of them was suffering from sexual violence. Some of them were suffering from sexual misconduct, sexual abuse, teasing, like all that in nature. And so she started a Me Too campaign on MySpace back in 2006. And it spread not as fast as it did now, because at the time you only had really like two main social networks. You had Facebook and MySpace. Facebook was only for college students and MySpace was for everybody else. Basically, by the time we got to the Twitter era, which is like 2000 and like really like the late 2000s, early 2010s, pretty much MySpace died out by 2011. So her movement didn't really kick off a lot, but she did post on Facebook and even on Twitter about it. But nobody in the mainstream really knew what Me Too was until 2017 with the Harvey Weinstein scandal, okay? And Alyssa Milano was the one that first acted as if she created Me Too, because she was doing the hashtag Me Too, hashtag Me Too, and everybody was giving Alyssa Milano credit. Then it was not just black women, but white women who are like, social justice warriors. I was like, wait a minute. I've seen this before. This was started by a black woman named Tarana Burke. Come to find out, it was verified as such. So instead of Alyssa Milano looking like the bad guy, she decided to bring Tarana Burke along and, try to, tell her, let's work together with this because we could do so much more, because this is your movement. You started this. I work in Hollywood. I'm famous. We could like join forces and, we could work together to end, sexual violence in Hollywood. Not, all over the world, but just in Hollywood. And Tarana Burke agreed. And I feel like Tarana Burke, I'm going to just say this directly to Ms. Burke. I don't think you're a bad person, but I think that in a subtle way, you sold yourself out. You sold out because what you allowed Hollywood to do was co-opt your movement. You allowed them to take what you were doing, which was very positive and very, in my opinion, pretty groundbreaking, to where you were giving them the permission to let them just hashtag all over and to make it just about Hollywood actresses, not just women across the world in different various backgrounds, whether it be occupational, economical, geographical, but just Hollywood alone. Then what you did was you lessened yes power in the Me Too campaign by agreeing to be on the Times cover, but being on the inside, not even being the main face. Like, you should have said no. If y'all gonna do, even though it was Times Up, and I'm gonna get to Times Up, you should have said no. If it's gonna be Times Up, I don't want to be a part of it. If it's gonna be Me Too, I'll do it, but you're gonna put me on the cover because I'm the person that started this campaign. I'm not gonna sell out like that because you selling out, you sold yourself, and the girls that you've worked with since you first started this campaign, they're gonna look at you and see that Black women can't be powerful unless it's white people attached to a movement. That's what they learn from this. They're not seeing this as, oh, you know, my mentor, she did this on her own. No, they're going to see this as, oh, my mentor did this for many years, but nobody's paying attention until white people came along and took over. And now that they're there, she's not really that prominent involved in this. It's just her, you know, just standing there. So as a Black woman, I will never be this powerful unless I have white people and white benefactors around what I'm doing. And that's what they're seeing. And that's what you gave them that reality. So that's my criticism with you, Ms. Burke. Now, I'm going to go to Time's Up. My issue with Time's Up is that Time's Up, what y'all did was you decided that since the Me Too movement was founded by a Black woman, you decided that, okay, we know Ms. Burke founded this. We got to come up with our own. So they started the hashtag Time's Up, and it went from the Time's Up movement. Now, Time's Up is not just mainly Hollywood, but it's also a campaign that's founded by the Creative Artist Agency, CAA. One of the people that work for the agency is Alyssa Milano's husband. And the reason why this got out was because somebody in the industry spilled the beans about that. That it was her husband that worked at CAA. So she's linked to Time's Up, and I believe she was the one that probably was like behind her back, was like, you know, let's do Time's Up. You know, let's still try to have our power and dominance in this whole movement. And I believe that's why ever after Who's the Boss, I was never really like a fan of Alyssa Milano. I did like her TV movies, but outside of that, I was never like, yeah, Melissa Milano, she's a shit. I wasn't really into her like that. I just really liked her as a kid growing up on Who's the Boss, pretty much. But this is Hollywood actresses' attempt with the whole Me Too Time's Up movement. Their whole thing is, in my opinion, I believe this happened with a lot of them because their careers were waning. And these women, they weren't getting roles. Now, I'm going to say this. When it comes to Harvey Weinstein, do I believe Harvey Weinstein is a rapist? I do. I've read about this for years on various websites that he raped women. And this is way before the whole Me Too campaign. This is way before the whole Cosby accusations came out. There was women that were writing on social media blogs that he is a rapist and he needs to be stopped. So it's not like people weren't talking about it. They just weren't talking about it in the mainstream atmosphere. Second of all, that audio tape of him in the New York hotel, you can't deny that audio tape. That's why he got arrested in New York. They were trying to arrest him for months, but for some reason, the law enforcement agents, they were being stopped. They couldn't process it. I don't know. I think they were being paid off, or maybe there were threats being made. That's all. I'm just gonna say it like that. 3, I do believe that a lot of those actresses slept with him. It could have been forced. It could have been, you know, I'm a rape. You better do this if you want this role. And like I said, forced sex does equal to being raped. But here's my issue with some of these actresses that accuse Harvey Weinstein of raping them. It's one thing to make the accusation that this man raped you, but it's another to say he raped me, then I'm going to be his girlfriend. Bitch, are you fucking bugging? If you a victim, Why do you want to be associated with somebody who violated you? You got raped. Okay? Even if he punched you in the face, you want to date somebody that punched you in the face? You got to be an idiot to do something like that. You got to be an idiot, opportunist, or you just a fucking crazy ass lying bitch. I'm just going to say it's either one of the three. Okay? And that's my issue with the whole thing with times of the Me Too movement. Now, I'm going to go to the Cosby situation. When it comes to Bill Cosby, this is my take on it. Number one, my issue has always been with Hannibal Buress. Hannibal Buress, you told one joke. Nobody gave a damn about you. I saw you on the show called Broad City. Nobody gave a damn about you. You was a writer. And NBC dropped you because they felt that your material wasn't good. Okay? So you went from NBC to Viacom. Okay? Now, this is what I always speculated. And a lot of people have always said to me, and these are people that know me. It was like, you, Miss Analytical, you know, you kind of reaching. But I've always felt that Hannibal Buress had a chip with Bill Cosby because he didn't make it at NBC. I believe that Hannibal Buress was that type of comedian that probably wanted that career like Bill Cosby. And, you know, you have a lot of people, and this is just general, that they have people that they look up to. Such as, you know, who was your favorite singer? Who was your favorite rapper? Who was your favorite actor, actress, director, writer? Well, I love this person and I admire his or her work, and I want my career to be similar to theirs. So you have some people that go to the extreme to just want to do everything like that person. Like, I want to go to the studio that they work at. Oh, I want to be signed to the record label that this person was at. And they want to be in the same setting of that person. And I believe that when he got dropped from NBC, it was like, okay, it's not going to happen for me there. Because Viacom, to be honest with you, you don't really make it on Viacom like that. Like, comedians, it's kind of hard for comedians to blow up there. It's a weird kind of world of Viacom. But what I've done my research on for years, it's weird. And if you're not an urban writer and you're black and you're more like, you do comedy for the dominant society, it's very hard to blow up. It's a weird kind of world for black people at Viacom. And so I've always felt that he had a gripe with Bill Cosby. I also do believe in a subtle way that he probably wanted to write for Bill Cosby. Maybe one of his tours, or maybe when that new show was coming up, because Bill Cosby had 2 specials that was being prepared for Netflix. And he was going to have a show that was supposed to debut on NBC in the fall 2015 season. And they were getting ready to film the pilot. And it was a show about him being a grandfather. And at the time, he was about 77 years old. And it was going to show, you know, what's life like with a person who's a grandfather, dealing with not just kids, but grandkids. And, you know, that life of now you got to deal with them again, and you supposed to be an empty nester. And I believe he probably wanted to write for Bill Cosby and try to get his luck in the door with NBC again. And he said, and maybe Bill Cosby probably said, no, I don't like your style. Or maybe I just got my own team of writers, because Bill Cosby was going to be executive producer on that show. Okay. And there was an article with, Hannibal Buress, where he discussed how he was very hurt over NBC dropping him. Like, he was very, it just destroyed his whole ego. And I've always believed that that's what led him to tell that joke. Now, it's been proven that the joke was written by Judd Apatow. This is where it goes deeper, because I believe Judd Apatow, it's been alleged that he too wanted to write for Cosby in a setting on a show, and he got turned down. And a lot of times too, you have people that have vendettas, where it's one of those things where even though I'm more successful than you, I may be at the top of my game, I got to take you out because you didn't allow me to have that one opportunity. And that's what I think the whole Bill Cosby situation is about. I don't think it's about rape. I don't believe he raped those women. I really don't. I don't believe he raped them. I believe these were women that were trying to come up. I believe that their careers, he gave them a chance and it didn't happen. I believe that the timing of them is very suspicious because if somebody is raped, like Andrea Constance, the whole thing with Andrea Constance is weird to me. It's just weird. And I'm not going to even get to that. I'll say that for another time because that's a whole long story. That's a long one. But the women who were in Hollywood, a lot of them were proven to be liars. They were proven to be liars. And this is coming for somebody, like, okay, I'm going to just say it like this. You could tell when somebody is a victim of something, and you could tell when somebody is lying. Because a victim does not talk about it easy. They don't speak about it matter-of-factly. Those Bill Cosby female accusers, they was talking about it like they was kicking it back with their girlfriends at the lunch table. You know, like, yeah, you know, he raped me, you know, he felt my breast, you know, like I woke up and he drugged me and I didn't know where I was. And the way they articulate their words, they say what the incident happened and they use a high-pitched voice. When you're a victim, you don't talk like that. You're very, like, not mellow, but you're very, like, cautious of what you say because you don't want to talk about it. Okay? That's how you know they liars. That's how you know they're not telling the truth because they too steady with their words and like the notes hit here. And when something like that, the articulation of it is it's perfect timing. That's how you know they're lying. Okay, so I'm just going to say that about Bill Cosby. He got set up. I believe it was personal vendettas. These women, their careers didn't pan out. The men, their careers didn't work out, or they wanted something and it didn't happen. They wanted it from him, it didn't happen, or they wanted it from where he got it from, it didn't happen for them, and they wanted to get back at him. This was a takedown. It was destroying a legacy. And I do believe it has to do with money as well because he was rich. And Gloria Allred is a dangerous, evil woman because she goes after black men hard. Her whole thing is not justice, it's money. She's there for money. She is a dangerous person as they come. And I feel sorry for any black man in Hollywood because my message to them is keep your affairs in order and be careful with all the women that you are around and even the men if you're gay. Okay? Now, I'm going to go forward because I want to talk about the recent developments involving actors who are now being accused of sexual misconduct under Meatsuit. Now, first, you have Morgan Freeman. Now, I'm going to tell you my issue with the whole thing with the Morgan Freeman scenario. First of all, if you didn't get Morgan Freeman for allegedly sleeping with his granddaughter at the age of 16 years old, step-granddaughter, the one who's no longer here, if you didn't come at him in 2008, why the hell you coming after him now for basically hitting on women and hitting on a pregnant woman? Why would you not come after him then? If he did that shit, because it's been said that he actually did it. If he did that shit, he's nasty, okay? And even though they couldn't do anything about it because the statute of limitations, have occurred, my issue with the whole thing is this. That was your case. That's child abuse. Why would you come after him over him, flirting with a woman? A man can flirt with a woman. Men flirt with me all the time, okay? It's just the way I respond to it. Sometimes I like it. Sometimes I don't. It depends on the man, My thing is this. If a man's flirting with me, especially a handsome man, it shows I still got it. Any woman with common sense wants a man to flirt with her, okay? We love that shit. Just like men love it when we flirt with them, unless they're married. Now, I will say this, men who really take their vows serious, they don't really like it. But even women that take their vows serious, I'm not married, but I've seen it. Women like the compliments. It's like, thank you. But a man that's being flirted upon by a woman and they're married, that's when a man is cautious. It's like, nah, because I don't want to get in trouble with my wife because the repercussions of it all. But my thing is, with Morgan Freeman, could he have done it? Possibly. Could he have not done it? Possibly. My thing is, he is a little bit aggressive to the point. That's what according to like the interviews, he could be a little bit like that. The interview can say something, but still, if he's just saying it, he's just saying it. It's your way. It's your right to respond. It's like, okay, Mr. Freeman, I don't want it. I'm not interested. And then if he gets aggressive, that's when you could say, as a reporter, I don't want to work with him. As an actress, I'm not feeling this dude. He may be an old man. He may be the grandfather of Hollywood, but I ain't down with this shit. Sorry. I'm not. Now, I'm going to go as to why I believe Morgan Freeman got hit with the Meatsuit accusations. Chloe Melas. Now, a lot of people don't know Chloe Melas, but I do. Chloe Melas was a reporter on VH1. She used to host a show in the mornings. It was like a pop news interview show. And it was on for like a year and a half, and then it got canceled. But she made the transition to the mainstream on CNN. Now, this is the same woman who, during the whole Bill Cosby trial, she used to go on Wendy Williams and talk about how Bill Cosby was being accused with over 50 women, and how the accusations were, very, shocking, and how there's no way he can be found not guilty. Like, she was going hard against Bill Cosby. And Wendy had a personal vendetta too, because when she read that report from National Enquirer on Bill Cosby cheating, he called up the radio station and calls her everything but a child of God. And that's what she said, Mr. Cosby, I didn't know you cursed. He's trying to get her fired. And the only reason why her career did not derail was because the reporter, not the reporter, but the program director batted for her, because she brought in the listeners. If she didn't bring in the listeners, Wendy Williams would have been done decades ago. She would have been done. Okay? This is a known fact. This happened in 1990. Okay? Now, Chloe Melas is the woman who was pregnant and interviewed Morgan Freeman during that whole promotion of that movie with Michael Caine and Alan Arkin, I believe that's his name. Now, this is what my issue is with her. If you're talking about how, I'm pregnant, we're talking about, how you conceived the child. If somebody is saying, which Morgan Freeman says, I wish I was there, that doesn't mean that he wanted to have sex with you, sweetheart. That just meant that he wanted to be there basically when all of this was going on. It does not mean he wants to sleep with you. He just wanted to be nosy. He just thought that it was, the movie is called Going in Style. And the remarks that he made was just that I wish I was there. It wasn't anything nasty. And she reported the incident to her bosses, and they informed Warner Brothers. And pretty much CNN and Warner Brothers, they all connected through Time Warner. They all connected. So it was easy. And they told her, listen, we only got that recorded. We don't have anything else recorded. And from my understanding of Chloe Melas, you messy. You're dangerous. And I don't think any black man should sit down with an interview with you. I really don't. Because you are the person that's trying to destroy Morgan Freeman's career. Now, I have my issues with him because of the possibility of sleeping with his granddaughter. If that's true, that was messed up. Hopefully it's not. But also, my father and Morgan Freeman almost got into a knife fight years ago, back in 1973 in Con Edison. He ain't the nicest person. I love the movie Lean On Me, but he ain't the nicest person. He pulls a knife out on my daddy, and my daddy was ready for that ass. My father was ready for that ass, okay? He pulls a knife out on my daddy, but he's not a tough dude, because from what my daddy said, when he pulled a knife out on my dad, what happened was my dad was on one side of the room and he was on the other. And so Morgan Freeman at that time was very frustrated about his career. And pretty much he didn't like the fact that he was only being recognized for being on the show with the kids. I can't think of it. With the kids. It's gonna come to me, but it was with Irene Cara, and Bill Cosby was on it. And Morgan Freeman does not want people to remember that he was on this show. And he was the main person on the show for about 5 seasons. And that was his first big break. He didn't like it. So he had money to pay his bills. He had an apartment. But people would say, oh, Morgan Freeman, you're the actor from that show. And he would curse them out. And so when he was at Con Ed that day, he was like, I don't want nobody fucking talking to me, nobody saying shit to me. He had a nasty attitude. So my father was like, oh, the electric company, that's the show, the electric company. So my dad was like, well, nobody's saying nothing to your ass. We don't even really know you're not a big star. So from there, he started barking on my dad. So my dad was like, motherfucker, if you want to get it on, what's up? I'm here. If you want to jump, I'm ready. So instead of jumping back, he pulls out this knife, which was like a pocket knife, and he just threw it out. Like he just opened it. So my father was in the Navy. So my father knew how to fight because they actually trained them in certain techniques in the division where he was. So my father was ready. My father was like, okay, fine, let's do it. You do it. You got a knife. I'm here. I know how to use a knife too. My father was being stereotypical and was like, I'm half Cuban, because, that at that time they were saying that Hispanics like to use switchblades to fight. So he was barking, and my father was like, no, if you want to do this, we can do this in Con Ed. I'm here. Just come to my end, and we can get it popping. So instead of getting popping, Morgan Freeman basically went to the window, paid his bill, and he left. Okay? So every time they would bump into each other from that day forward, Morgan Freeman always had a nasty attitude with my dad, because my dad challenged him and he never stepped up to the challenge. And it's very interesting because in those days in New York City, and this is kind of weird, but people would meet up with each other around the same time during paying their rent, paying their bills. It was like, if you paid your bill on the 1st or the 15th of the month, you would see the same crowd. So at that time for months, the same people would end up in Con Ed. And Morgan Freeman was one of those people. My father was one. And he hated my dad because my dad challenged him and he never stepped up. And these people that would come to Con Ed around the same days with my dad, they never respected Morgan Freeman for it, because they were like, you had the opportunity to prove your manhood and you never did. And my father said, I'm not a person that fights unless somebody makes the first move. Unless it's my family being threatened, you got to make the first move. I'm just not that type of dude. It's just the one thing, because I'm not a fighter. I'm just not a person that goes out looking for fights. That's just not me. He's frustrated with his career because it's not popping off yet. If it don't ever pop off, it ain't my fault. It ain't your fault. But he's an arrogant motherfucker that's not very grateful for the break that he got. And you on a show with kids. And that's why when Lean On Me used to come on, I used to look at it, my father used to want me to turn. He hated him for that shit. Because all of a sudden, now you trying to act like you a nice person, but nigga, you trying to pull a knife out on me. And you wanted me to step to you because you wanted to stab me. I wasn't coming for you, but I was waiting for you to come for me because I was going to knock you out. Now, how you take this story, I don't care, but this shit happened. This shit happened. This shit happened. And that's why when it comes to Morgan Freeman, when I was told that story, I'm team dad, because that's my dad. You know, I never looked at him the same after that. Now, don't get me wrong. Lean on Me is a good film, but outside of that film, he's Morgan Freeman. And you got to be a dirtbag to be an asshole when people want to say, hey, you're the guy for the electric company. Hey, you know, I like your work on the show. My children love you. And you going to tell people to shut the fuck up. I never liked that, hearing that. That's a hurting thing. And then you're black too. And these are black people and white people. He said it too. So this whole thing of him being the grandfather of Hollywood is bullshit. He's a bullshitter on that. Because he's not a nice man. Now, I'm going to switch gears and talk about Jamie Foxx. Now, of all the people in Hollywood to get, how can you get Jamie Foxx? He does everything right. Like, Jamie Foxx goes out of his way, in my opinion, to please white people. He does. But what I really think is going on with this one, with the woman who's accusing him of slapping him in the face with the penis, I personally think that this is more of, I wanted Jamie Foxx to fuck me. He didn't want to fuck me. I was trying to break in my career. It didn't happen. I'm very upset over that. But I can't do anything about it because I never had a career to begin with. So this Meatsuit movement is popping off. So I'm going to go back to when Jamie Foxx denied sleeping with me. So I'm going to use this. I'm going to be part of this Meatsuit movement. That's what the whole shit is with Jamie Foxx. That's what it is with Jamie Foxx. That's what it is. That's what the fuck it is. That's what it is. That's what it is. That thing with him, I think it's gonna fall apart. Because see, when you accuse somebody of something like that, that's a very outrageous accusation. But my thing with that one is that one's gonna fall apart. But it's going to taint him at the same time because people are going to look at him suspicious. Now, the only thing about Jamie Foxx has always been that he is possibly bisexual, which I believe. I've always believed that he was bisexual because I've seen signs of it on Living Color. You know, and that's just the thing. But besides him being possibly bisexual, I don't see him being that kind of guy. I just don't see it. I mean, not saying that he isn't, but I see him more, honestly, I'm going to be honest with you. I honestly see him being accused of trying to sleep with a man, more so than a woman. That I'm going to be honest with you. It would have been a little bit more believable if it was a man. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I don't know. You know, you might not like me saying that, but that's just my thing. I would find it more believable if it was a man, if it was a young man. Now, this one that I'm about to talk about is the one that really bothers me the most. And what bothers me about the most is that this is a person who is a victim. If anyone is a victim of Me Too in Hollywood, it's this young man, and that's Todd Bridges. Todd Bridges has been in Hollywood for over 45 years. And this is a young man who was molested. Who was molested to where he didn't know if he was straight or gay. Now, the person who molested him wasn't an actor, but he was in the business as a publicist. And he was also a family friend. And the abuse happened when he was 11 years old. So this happened, you know, like in the mid to late 70s. Okay? Before he was a star on the show. And my thing is that this is a young man that was groundbreaking in Hollywood. He was the first black actor to appear on Little House on the Prairie. He was the first black child actor to appear on that show. And he paid his dues. Now, we all know he got the break on Different Strokes. And we all know that, and I'm going to say this, and I don't care what nobody say. If it wasn't for Gary Coleman, and even him. NBC would have crumbled. Them two little boys saved NBC because NBC was in a dump. Okay, it was in a crap, but nobody was watching them. They were fucking up. Okay, those little two black boys saved NBC, and they don't ever get the credit for it. Him nor Gary Coleman nor him. Now, we all know that he ends up getting on drugs, and it's a possibility that he got on drugs because he was trying to struggle with his sexual identity, and he found out when he had sex with Jada Plato that I love girls, you know, but still coping with that first sexual experience of being molested by a man, and you're introduced to sex in that way. He tried to escape with drugs. Okay, we all know it led him to being a drug addict to where he stabbed a man who was trying to kill him, and he was a drug dealer, and the drug dealer tried to kill him. And he is the person, and this is why I believe, I'm gonna get back to this. Okay, so this is a woman that's accusing him of rape. And this woman was an actress on the show. Her name is Melora Hardin. And she was an actress on the show in 1980. And they filmed this episode pretty much. And I believe the episode had to do with racism. It had to do with racism. And Melora Hardin, she ain't pop off. Her career didn't pop off. But she says that on the set of Diffrent Strokes, that they made a misplaced kiss. Basically, he kissed her, so to speak, and that she didn't feel comfortable, and that she couldn't go further than that. And she was saying, it was uncomfortable that he kissed me, and that she might have told her mother about it, but she said that it was funny, but I don't know. She was like, it's uncomfortable, but I don't know what's funny. But I feel like it's totally inappropriate. Now, this is my thing. She then goes to say that the lights going off, I think is the scariest part, and at the door closed, the lights was going off, and that he's on top of me, kissing me, sticking his tongue down my throat, but it wasn't like a fight. It was just like, and running out. It wasn't like I was being restrained or threatened. I don't know, inappropriate for sure, and uncomfortable for sure, but I don't know as far as the Me Too movement goes. I don't know how I feel about that, about a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 12-year-old, 15-year-old. I kind of think it's totally inappropriate, but people are trying things out. Now, I've seen this episode before as a kid. And she even reflects on the episode where they had a dance. Because in the episode, it was dealing with racial unity, racial harmony, and pretty much she was a girl in his class. And they was, you know how like you're friends and you're going to hang out with your friend after work, after school. And so, you want to like do things with your friends at the house. And that's something natural. So he was teaching her in the episode how to dance, but she pretty much never danced before to his type of music because basically she was around nothing but white people. So it was like he was showing her a side of his culture and she liked it. But pretty much the guy that she was with didn't like it. He was a racist. And in the end of that episode, she pretty much turns him down. Like she doesn't want to be around somebody who's like that. Like her character was like, if you can't accept me for having a friend who's black, then I don't want to be around you. So the episode was really positive. And that's the messed up thing about this. Like you kind of tainted the history of that episode, because at that time, television shows were really making groundbreaking episodes with the youth. They were educating them about racism, sexism, even This is the very first show that talked about molestation, child molestation on the show. It's the very first one that talked about child molestation. Like, that's how groundbreaking the show was, where they were bringing serious issues to comedies because it was the only way they could reach the youth. Because at that time, there wasn't social media and there wasn't even that many cable shows. And looking back, I gotta honestly say, I actually liked it, because if this is the one way we could reach youth through that message of educating them through situation comedy, then so be it. And that's the thing that I don't like about comedies now. They're not really educating the youth. They're really not. And that's why these youth are acting the way they're acting today. You know, we, in my generation, we had some common sense. But getting back to this episode, it just hurt me when I read that this was the girl from that episode, because I used to watch that episode quite a lot. And I mean, you know, if you want to say that he came on to you, fine. But don't say that. Don't try to link him to being a sexual predator with the Me Too movement. You wrong. You wrong. Yeah, and a misplaced kiss is just a misplaced kiss. That's all. It's just a misplaced kiss. But that one hurts more than anything, because this is a man who is a true sexual assault survivor who was molested multiple times. Now, this is my theory as to why they picking on Todd Bridges. Todd Bridges is the man that helps to introduce the world to Johnnie Cochran, because Johnnie Cochran was his attorney. And Johnnie Cochran became famous because he represented Todd Bridges on an attempted murder trial. Because Todd Bridges was facing up to 50 years in prison for that. He was facing some hard time. And this man got him acquitted, and he proved that he was innocent. It's not like, no, he was just a damn good lawyer and you paying me well, so I'm gonna bust my ass to do the job. No, he proved that he was innocent and that the drug dealer really did try to kill him. He was the one that tried to kill him. And that's when all the celebrities said, hey, if you could get Todd Bridges off of that, I need help too. That's why Michael Jackson got Johnnie Cochran, because of Todd Bridges. All these people was getting Johnnie Cochran because of that case. You know? And in the case, Cochran argued that Bridges was abused minor who had been driven to drugs by an exploitative entertainment industry that was now being unfairly framed. Now, I'm going to go deeper into this because I've got something to say. The Me Too movement, even coming down to Cosby, even coming down to Harvey Weinstein, all of this is a clandestine, way of protecting the pedophiles of Hollywood, which are the real, in my opinion, the real predators, the people that really should be mentioned in these hashtags with Me Too. The children of sexual abuse, the victims and the survivors of childhood sexual abuse. This is my problem with Me Too altogether, because initially the original concept of Me Too did include children who were sexually molested. Children. It was young girls. But it even focused on childhood rape, childhood molestation. Okay? You scrapped that part out, Hollywood. You knocked that one out. And you went for the women that was being abused in Hollywood, victimized in Hollywood by moguls, by actors. But you won't talk about the children who are being raped, who are being sodomized on Hollywood's movie and TV sets daily. Where you got actresses that recount that when they were 11 years old, a producer asked them to take off their top, not the t-shirt, the whole kit and caboodle. That's what's been going on. You got people like that that's being victimized. And my thing is this: if Hollywood is so pristine clean, how come these children grow up and want to be drug abusers? There ain't that much pressure on them unless they they gotta wake up at 7 in the morning and go to bed at 1 a.m. because they gotta film a movie. That's pressure. But if you on a set and you just got a recurring role and you're working back to back, what you doing being a crackhead by the age of 17? Come on, let's keep it real. We know what the truth is happening now. We know the truth. We know these kids are victims. We know these are victims of child molestation in Hollywood. And y'all Me Too bitches, and I'm calling y'all that. Y'all got a chastisement coming to y'all, okay? Because what y'all doing is wrong. You rather protect the pedophiles, because that's what I believe it is, rather than to stand up for what's right. Y'all rather come out and say I was a victim and not want to help the kids. Even if you are a victim, help the kids too, because they don't have a voice. Because when Corey Feldman was coming out talking about his molestation and really trying to say, you know, Michael Jackson is not the one, Matt Laura had an attitude and tried to shut him down. Come to find out, Matt Laura was accused of raping a woman on the premises of the Today Show. That's why his career is erased. He is erased from the history of the Today Show, okay? He caught feelings over that interview. Come to find out, he was a predator. That's why he caught feelings, okay? A lot of these people that be catching feelings about these kids being molested, they predators too, okay? It's something to look at. So I'm going to basically wrap it up with saying this. From what I've seen the last couple of years with the accusations of Bill Cosby, the Me Too movement, Time's Up shenanigans, I just got one final thing to say, and that is this. I totally look at Hollywood different now, especially with how they handle molestation with children. Anybody I know that have a talent who's a child, I always tell my friends, do not put your kids even in commercials, even in as a model, because they're going to get your kids. They're going to try to get them, okay? If you want to do this, you got to go at your own price. And for the women in Hollywood who want to go into Hollywood, this is what I'm going to say to y'all. If you are a true victim, stand up and speak out. But if your career did not go out as planned, just take the L and just move on. Because even if you come out as a liar and accuse these men of rape, nobody's going to care about you after a while, especially black women. You're going to be disposable. Nobody's going to care about you. And to the actors who are black in Hollywood, you better be careful with the circle that you have around you. You better vet everybody, okay? Because these women are devious. These women, a lot of them, their careers wasn't never going to happen to begin with because they didn't have the talent. You better watch your back. And especially the black homes of Hollywood, don't think that you're exempt, because they're going to come down to you harder. Because if you're going to sell out your own people, you can't be trusted amongst white people at all. And with that being said, this is Miss Analytical signing off. I hope you enjoy the beautiful weather if you're in the NYC area today. And to anybody else outside, you know, just listen to this episode. Please share it. Some of what I say, you know, I got off a tangent a little bit, but I had to, you know, share it here and there to just, you know, make an example of some things. But I hope you enjoyed it. And I'm going to come up with 2 more episodes. It's just going to be about shows. But this one is my most serious audio clip. I'm uploading on Speaker.com as of now. It should be there in about 2 minutes. Hopefully you enjoy it. Please comment. Even if you don't like it, just comment. Okay? But just more importantly, just share it. All right? This is your girl, Miss Analytical, signing off. Take care and have a good one.